Today I'm going to get back into the transfer case rebuild. You may remember a couple of months ago I pulled that apart. I'll put a link in the description, but once I got in there I found a couple of broken parts and realized that I needed a blind bearing hole puller, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, in order to change one of the bearings. And there had been some metal shavings in there, so I definitely want to make sure and replace all of the bearings inside. So anyways, it's time to first get this thing cleaned up. So I've got some of this gunk engine degreaser, got a few cans of this. I'm going to spray this on the case because or the case halves, I should say. When I got this truck, it leaked everything from everywhere, and let me tell you, the drivetrain and stuff is like seriously caked in just years and years of baked on crap. So I'll get this stuff soaking first, and then while I'm doing that, I got this jug of multi-purpose degreaser, and I will put this in a bin and I'll start going through all the internal parts and getting those nice and cleaned up. There will probably be a third video to this little transfer case series, but anyways, it's time to kick this transfer case overhaul into high gear. So, sorry. This roller bearing, needle bearing I guess you'd call it, I'm not sure, but this is the one that I need to pull out. So I actually called a local four-wheel drive shop, very well known, very respected one, and asked them what they would charge to just pull this bearing out. And they referred me to a local transmission shop where they said they send all their work to. I don't know if there was a miscommunication or something, but the guy told me that he was going to charge $300 to $400 to pull this bearing out. And you know, I told him I was just bringing a case half in. It wasn't like a full transfer case that needed to get torn down or anything, but that was the number he quoted me. So you know, I went on eBay and just bought a whole kit of I think it's called pilot bearing puller or a blind bearing puller set or something like that, but I just bought a whole kit for like 90 bucks, and it does a whole bunch of sizes. So obviously it's more than paid for itself first time around, and most likely it will get used again kind of thing. So it seemed like a pretty obvious choice. Okay, so this is the kit. I think it was about 90 bucks online. Got it off eBay. It's got like a slide hammer type of deal. It does a lot of different sizes. I mean, from down here to I think like 1.5 or something like that. I mean, it's you know, it's a basic quality thing, but this is something that's going to be a very low volume usage, so this should be just fine for my needs. Okay, now I'm going to dump this jug of degreaser in here. Then I'll clean it part by part, put it in a clean box, and I can set it aside. Alright, well these cases have now been sitting for quite some time with this degreaser on there, and it's doesn't appear to be having a huge effect on this one specifically. So anyways, I'm going to start scrubbing it a little bit, and we'll see. But yeah, this might be a bit of an ordeal getting this one cleaned up properly. Oh, you know what? There's scrubbing, and it actually is it is coming off a bit. Okay, well, sorry about all the noise. They're doing some road work outside, but I've got these cases cleaned up pretty good. There's a few spots, like right in there. I'll keep doing a little bit of scrubbing, but it's really tough to get scrub brushes in some of these nooks and crannies, but for the most part, she's coming along. I took it out to my friends and pressure washed it, and you know, it's not perfect. When I go to paint it, I'll go over everything with a bit of sandpaper and stuff, but you know, this thing has just been so coated in oil for so many years. It's really in there, and my dad recommended trying to steam clean it, but I had a tough time tracking that service down. So anyways, I mean, you know, you got to remember this thing was unpainted for, you know, the last 25 years, so I will do my best to make paint stick to it, but for now this is cleaned up and I can start moving forward. This is the other half of the case, which is similar, you know, in the tough spots there's some stubborn things, but I'll do my best and try and sand those up just a little bit when it comes time to paint. And then here's the output part. That one actually came out pretty good. So anyways, the next thing to do now is try and get some of these bearings out of there. So I'm going to pull out my new pilot bearing or blind bearing kit puller and try and get at this and see if it was actually worth 400 bucks for a shop to do it, or if there was just some misunderstanding. I would assume it's probably a pretty straightforward process, but let's find out. Okay, so this is the bearing in question. As you can see, it's a little rusty from pressure washing the other day. This is the kit that I showed you before. The idea is you take one of these things that's just a little bit smaller than the actual hole, and as it spins, there's like some little blades that kind of spread out and grab onto one of the little lips, and then you use a slide hammer to pull it out. So let's find one that fits. That one might be it. Yep. All right, so here's the setup. I've got the slide hammer in there. I found the closest die, or whatever you want to call it, that goes in there. Basically, as you turn this, it loosens and tightens that in there. So I just want it tight enough so it's not spreading it in any way and causing it to be tougher to pull. But now I'm going to go ahead and give her a yank. All right, well, this is definitely the most nervous I've been on this project. I put the slide hammer on there and it didn't even budge it. So I put just a little bit of pressure with this puller, which also didn't budge it, and I didn't want to force it and break the case. So very, very lightly started heating up the other side of the case with my little torch. You know, very gentle, and just had a little bit of pressure and it kind of popped, and thought that I'd maybe cracked the case, but luckily, you know, it popped on out of there. So that bearing's out of there. Very nerve-wracking, but she's out. Okay, and there it is. My first time pulling a bearing like this. Took me probably 5 or 10 minutes in a $90 kit, so I'd say that was better than spending 400 bucks at a shop. Well, as I'm going through this, I'm definitely seeing a couple of surprises. So I thought I only had the one bearing to pull out, but there's actually 3 of them. This one right here, I don't seem to have the right size for that. So, you know, if these are about the closest ones, but clearly too small. So I might just have to do my best and really clean that one up. And then there's also one in here, which I'm pretty sure is this one. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pull that one out of there now. All right, that one just knocked out of there pretty easily. Used the slide hammer, just held it in my hand and gave her a couple of pulls and she popped right out. All right, I gotta tell you, I'm not that pumped about this one here. A little frustrating that I don't have the replacement, but you know, I'm just really not feeling any sort of debris or anything like that. I mean, I'll spray a good full can of brake clean through it, just make sure everything's blasted right the heck out of there, and then oil it up, I guess, so it doesn't rust. But I'm just gonna have to move forward with this one in here. Frustrating, but you know, is what it is. This transfer case is a 241 DHD, which means Dodge Heavy Duty. And on the label that I was just looking at, it just says NP241 right there. So possibly that bearing or those ones are for a slightly smaller one, I'm not sure. All right, now the last thing I got to do is get this seal out of here. So I'm gonna just cut the rubber off so I can have a bit better look inside there. Find a good spot that I can sort of get an access to it and bust her on out. All right, well, I got that seal out of here. This is the one where the drive shaft goes in. It was actually a challenge again. Finding everything pretty tight on here. It's a bit chilly in the shop today, but I definitely had to heat up the outside of this and then you know, just try and be really gentle, but anything I could do to get that seal knocked out of there. So anyways, I actually called we have a really good local transmission parts supplier in town here, and typically they, you know, have everything I need. Like when I had to get the new parts, this is the, let's see what's it actually called. This was broken, in part 1. This is the broken stuff that I found, so I got this new kit, key spring kit, but they knew exactly what I was talking about. No problem, have one in here in a week kind of thing. But I called about this bearing here, and he just kind of said they don't keep stuff like that in stock. And you know, again, I have mixed feelings about this, but I'm just not feeling any grit in there whatsoever. So, you know, I'm gonna just clean it as good as I possibly can, and you know, do my best and put this all back together. Anyways, yeah, got that seal out of there now. Got everything is good and cleaned. I'll give the case obviously a good once over before I put her back together and paint it. All right, that's it for part 2. As I said before, part 1 will be a link in the description, and then the next video will be part 3 where I put all this back together. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a good day. See you in the next one.